My dad, who's now retired, was a high school PE teacher and a baseball coach my whole life. When I was young and I would go into the locker room with him, one thing that I remember seeing stuck on a window of his office that's have really stuck with me to this day is this small piece of paper with this quote on it. Doing what's right is not always popular. Doing what's popular is not always right. Simple and straightforward, but the wisdom and depth of that quote is complex. I want you to take a second and think to yourself, are there recent circumstances you've witnessed or even been a part of that could fall on either end of that quote? Doing what's right is not always popular, and doing what's popular is not always right. Perhaps you decided to make the right decision, even though it wasn't a popular one. There are a lot of daily considerations that could be run through this filter of a quote. In today's Morning Minutes, I want us to consider a trait that feels like it's quickly becoming scarcer in our society, and that is integrity. Merriam-Webster defines integrity as a firm adherence to a code of especially moral or artistic values. Some synonyms that are associated with integrity are character, decency, goodness, honesty, morality, uprightness, and virtue. Integrity, defined by author Brené Brown, is choosing courage over comfort, choosing what is right over what is fun, fast, or easy, and choosing to practice our values rather than simply professing them. Broken down, it's letting your yes be yes and your no be no, while also practicing what you preach. Integrity is not easy. Think about the last time you had a choice that put your integrity on the line. Maybe you had the choice to tell the truth or tell a lie. The truth can be risky, can potentially have consequences attached, and maybe actually feels like the worst route to take at the time. While the lie can often be the easy route, can avoid that confrontation or consequence, and often looks pretty good. However, the route you take can have lasting impacts on how others view you and how you view yourself. Think about our role models of today and those that have public light. The vast majority are not there because of their integrity, but rather, more often, their lack of it. What is sad and scary is that many people will gladly sacrifice their integrity to get ahead, get famous, get rich, do anything really to get ahead in the game. Some may even call it capitalism, but at the root, it's greed and selfishness. We have to be cautious with who we define as our role models and those that we aspire to be like. What are qualities that you look at in a role model? Are they worthy of your admiration? Why? And potentially why not? Integrity is a very valuable and important piece as we grow up and as we become members of our society. It's something that takes constant vigilance and work in our own lives. One important note about integrity, though, is it does not mean being perfect. In fact, a good measure of someone's integrity is how someone actually responds when they're wrong. I'd like to take the second half of our morning to watch this short TED Talk on humility and integrity.
Raise your hand if you lie. Now, right now, if your hand is down, you're probably a bigger liar than the person nearest to you with their hand up. But it's okay. We all lie. Don't worry. I lie all the time. Ask my mom. But the problem is that little things turn into big things. Because how we do anything is how we do everything. So if you lie now, it's going to make lying later way easier. But if you tell the truth now, the truth comes way easier later. But it's difficult because today we're flooded with definitions like honesty and hypocrisy and humility. And maybe we don't even know what they actually mean. Because if you Google them on the surface, the definitions are easy. But when you put them into practice, they don't work. Humility is unique because when you have humility, people don't notice. That's the most important thing about humility, is nobody notices but you. 9 times out of 10, if you ask someone if they have humility, the answer will be yes, simply because they think that they're being honest. But it's not honesty, it's not meekness, it's not belittling yourself. Humility is not thinking less of yourself. Humility is thinking of yourself less. All right? So, it's funny, someone was asking me and I was trying to tell them about humility. And the most important thing is when you work in your groups, your teams, your leadership, wherever you are, your ministry of your church, nobody notices. But it doesn't work unless you have integrity. Integrity is when you align your actions with your beliefs. The Latin adjective integer means whole or one. Think of it like that. That's where the word integrity comes from. I like to think of it as a pizza. So if you cut the pizza, you separate the pieces out, but it leaves a missing part in the center. When you don't have a center, you don't have a point of reference. You lose your integrity. And it leaves you asking a question like, why do I feel this way? What am I missing? And oftentimes we try to use beauty, fame, money, success, and popularity to bring the pieces back together, but it just doesn't work. It leaves you confused and wondering, why do I not feel important? But the thing about integrity is that it leads to hypocrisy. If you don't align your actions with your beliefs, you kind of become a hypocrite. Acting has always been a passion of mine, like the theater, the lights, the sound. And in high school, I was studying for a vocab test, and the word was hypocrite. And the Greek root suggests something along the lines of an image of a person who wears a mask and pretends to be someone he or she is not in a theatrical production. And when I think about that, I think we all have masks. And maybe we don't even know what they are, like our social media or our internet or the things we post. But the theatrical production is just our lives. Do you post things about what your life is like? Or do you post things about what you want people to think that your life is like? Do your tweets start with I? Or do your tweets start with we did this? It's all something to consider. It's kind of like the movies, Iron Man, Batman. They all start out with a mask in the beginning of the movie, but by the end of the movie, we figure out who they are. We always, the person is revealed, and it's because they're missing the humility side of the equation. I think for humility and integrity, one thing I like to do I feel like I'm 12 up here, but one thing I like to do is look up to people. I find mentors and people I can study off of, teachers and people who have built legacies. And one of the things I do is, a person I look up to is named Ellie. And when I think about Ellie, she 100% has no prejudice against color, race, religion. She can face the world without lies. She can take blame without resentment. She can even start the day without caffeine. But it's interesting because as soon as I think I'm just like Ellie, I remember that Ellie is just my family dog. So as soon as you think you have humility and integrity and you're not a hypocrite, you're just as good as your dog that sleeps on the floor. And so all this to say, I'm not bashing my dog. I love my dog. We all love our dogs. But the thing is that there's no levels to humility and integrity. You kind of have it and you practice it, or you have it and you don't practice it. There's no in between. No one's better. If you're great at it, you're just as good as your dog. And so my idea today is to encourage us to align our actions with our beliefs. Think of ourselves a little bit less, others a little bit more. And we'll know exactly who we are, and we'll know exactly what we want. Thank you.
As you consider the concept of integrity in your own life, try to add 5 or 10 seconds before responding to a question, demand, or request, and ask yourself if your response holds up to your integrity meter. If integrity is something that is harder for you, it's never too late to grow and practice. Like I said, it's often not easy and nobody is perfect. But investing in your character and reputation is one that will grow with time and pay dividends. Practice integrity this week and next week and forever. Keep practicing even if you fail. And have a great week, Lakers. We'll see you next time.